Hello, everyone. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson joining you. We have a winter storm taking aim on the northern plains. The first blizzard warning of the season for a small area of Montana. We'll go over that. The west coast getting slammed, and this storm system impacting the northern plains is set to go out and hit the Great Lakes area as well. We'll cover it all and bring your questions right here to Hutch's Weather. Let's get started with a look at some of the watches, warnings, and advisories that are in effect right now across the northern plains. Oh my, it is just a huge change. With 50s yesterday, now we're down in the teens and 20s with 55-mile-per-hour gusts blowing snow. Here is a look at the latest watches and warnings for the area. Now, winter storm warning. This is the Highway 2 corridor across North Dakota from Minot into Grand Forks. Now, the purple counties are winter weather advisories, winter storm warning here. Very heavy snow potential here. I think we're going to see some lofty snowfall totals right here in the parts of western and northwestern Minnesota as well. Now, much of the snow has fallen up in parts of the oil patch in northeast Montana, but the winds are really picking up. We have no travel advisories. We're going to cover it all. If you do have a question, leave it right here. I'll be happy to take a look at what it is that you want to discuss. But as is always the case on Hutch's Weather, it's a two-way street and it's interactive. So let me know what you're thinking. We have wind advisories with this windy storm system working its way through parts of southern North Dakota, but high wind warnings in effect for most of western and central South Dakota. And behind my melon over here, we do have some wet weather that's working its way through the Arrowhead of Minnesota. Flood advisories there. 1 to 2 inches of rain has fallen in the last 24 hours across much of greater Minnesota as well as southern Minnesota. It was much needed moisture, but the terrain up there in the Iron Range will cause some issues. So let's see if I can find out if we have any questions at all. And here we go. Let me see. Pardon me while I look around here. Just a moment. Okay, very good. So now let's take a look at the storm system and the forecast, and let's get started with a look at some of the road conditions and the radar here first and foremost. So you can turn off some of these labels on here, and we'll get started with our very close look at this storm system and the national weather as well. So let's zoom out to that national view first and foremost, and we'll take a look at the European model's forecast for the next 24 to 48 hours. Here's the U.S., here's the northern plains where our low pressure system is right now, and this model is showing that essentially we got this strong gusty north wind tugging cold air, and it's sweeping through the Rocky Mountain states. I'm going to be noticing some huge temperature changes in the central plains states as we go through the overnight hours. So here is a look at the forecast. Let's put this into motion. Now, you subtract 6 hours for central time from the times you see up here, Greenwich Mean Time. But the bottom line is that as this system works its way through the overnight, the wind and the snow will continue. Quite heavy snow in parts of Manitoba up here north of Winnipeg. And that wind is going to be very driving where the isobars are very close together. Notice in the Pacific Northwest, a very wet system making its way onshore. Huge winds as well will slam the west coast from northern California through Oregon and into Washington state. Also, the Cascades, the northern Rockies of Idaho and western Montana will see weather as we head into Wednesday morning. So we'll have winter storm conditions, if not blizzard conditions, across portions of northern North Dakota with very strong winds, whiteout conditions, areas of heavy snow, and very icy roads. The snow showers will be decreasing in intensity as this system focuses from a double-barreled low here in the northern plains and the Great Lakes. And this one takes over then as that happens into our Wednesday afternoon. Once this low takes over, notice that the southern Great Lakes will see a chance for some snow. We're talking Chicago, Fort Wayne, Indiana, northern Illinois, as well as portions of Wisconsin. And once we start this system spinning its way through the Great Lakes, this cold air mingling with the lakes could cause some areas of lake effect snow into the northeastern United States. Look at this puppy continuing to spin as we go into Friday. So its impacts began in Monday with severe weather down here, moved up into the central and northern plains with wet weather on Tuesday, and now tonight it's changing over to snow, winter storm warnings in the Dakotas and Montana, blizzard warning in parts of Montana as well. And out to the east coast, this storm system will continue into the late week. Here, When we get north cold winds over the top of the warm lakes, you know what happens there. Lake effect snow. Meanwhile, warm enough air will work its way into parts of the Pacific Northwest, changing some to rainfall, but then back to snow as this system will skirt the northern tier of states as we head into early next week. Another system making its way into the central plains. Looks like a pretty progressive pattern across the central plains as we head into your Thanksgiving week forecast as well. So that's a look at that. Now let's take a look at some specific areas. And again, if you do have questions, just let me know here as I'm very happy to go ahead and answer those. Brandon's joining. Will Moorhead get a blizzard warning? It's not likely that Moorhead, Minnesota or Fargo, North Dakota will get a blizzard warning in town, but you get out of town away from the buildings. And our winds here, I'm expecting, will gust to 40 to 50 miles per hour. And in that range with snow could be quite tricky. The heaviest of the snow bands, though, I expect to be off to north central North Dakota and into Minnesota. Great question, Brandon. Thanks for asking. Okay, let's go back and take a look at the radar here to keep things moving. Whoops, I grabbed the wrong radar. Let's go over to this one here. Okay, so here is the system in the northern plains. Rainfall is showing up here in Fargo and Grand Forks, but I can tell you flakes are covering the deck here in the Fargo-Moorhead area. We do have heavier snow working its way through Minot with our first snow report from the Minot area. That snow total is 4 inches already. This snow from Minot through Bottineau, Belcourt, northern parts of the state, as well as Bismarck, will continue for at least several hours into the overnight hours. So we do have the snow combined in this northern plains area. Now let's look out at the west coast. We do have some showers of rain from Seattle south through Portland that are quite heavy indeed, and at the elevated terrain there, not far from Olympia. We're seeing the change over to some snow there. That system is going to be very impactful as we go into the day tomorrow, off in the elevated terrain of the Cascades and the Northern Rockies. Now, our secondary low pressure system is getting ready to form out here, and it will really begin developing as we go into the overnight hours, and it will overtake this particular system. Wind gust reports, how about 61 miles per hour in parts of western South Dakota? Along the border with North Dakota, we had 55 and 60 mile per hour winds recorded there. So, heavy snowfall in the area. Mike says, you're the man. Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate that. And again, let's take a look at some other facts with regards to this storm system. What I'm going to do is we'll look at this forecast for the northern plains first, which is the impacts tonight and into tomorrow. Then the impacts shift into the Great Lakes. We'll look at the snowfall impacts there. And the Pacific Northwest as we go through the next 48 hours. We'll also see some significant snow impacts. We'll take a look at that. So right now, as we head into the evening hours, we do have strong thunderstorm activity in the panhandle of Florida. This is all associated with the same storm system. This is the cold front. And I want to show you this. We do have a strong line of storms out here moving in toward the Tallahassee area. These are windy storms. We also are seeing a statement from the National Weather Service here of gusts to 55 miles per hour make its way through Port St. Joe as we head into the evening hours, heading in towards Blountstown as well as the, exiting Panama City with some wind gusts reported there. Let's look at these measurements. 45 mile per hour gusts in and around Panama City, 47 miles per hour just to the west of town there. So some very heavy rain heading into western parts of Florida. Okay, I want to show you this because this will give you a little bit of a feel for the big changes. I like to look at 24-hour changes in temperature and humidity to get a feel for where the weather is the most impactful across our nation today. And we're noticing a huge drop in temperatures in the northern plains, Omaha, Nebraska, Denver, Colorado. The blue counties or colors that you see here, I should say, are illustrative of 15 to 20 degree cool off from yesterday at this time frame. So a big time cool off there, and nearly 15 to 20 degrees across western Iowa and eastern parts of Nebraska. You too noticing a big time cool down in the mile high city of Denver, Colorado, and we're seeing temperatures there about 10 to 12 degrees cooler than yesterday. Big time warm up in the Houston area and parts of Texas, so 10 to 15 degrees warmer tonight than it was last night at this particular time out there. And as we take a look at the West Coast, Warming up just a pinch now with the south winds with regards to this system making its way, but it's just a pinch of warming taking place there. Now, as we take a look at the national picture with regards to our forecast, I'm going to highlight the northern plains right now. We'll take a look at snowfall there. We'll shift to the Great Lakes and then to the Pacific Northwest. Let's go. Let's take a look at a higher resolution model, and I'll go ahead and look at that for the northern plains first. And let's see, here it is. Okay, so let's go into the northern plains. This model here is going to show the progression of this storm system as we go through the overnight hours, spinning its way through with very strong winds along the international border and a band of snow in the southern part of the Red River Valley of Minnesota and North Dakota here and eastern South Dakota. That will persist through the morning hours and into the afternoon and evening hours with periods of moderate to heavy snow and very gusty winds. Travel will be difficult. It will be icy. And this, the first significant winter event of the season up here, means all of us need to remind ourselves to give extra space between the vehicle in front of us. Stay off of the cruise control out there. Give the plows a lot of room out there because they make that snow fog around them as well. How much snowfall are we talking with this particular system? There'll be another new model coming in shortly, but I can tell you the snowfall amounts are up a little higher than what we were seeing yesterday at this time. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. For that, we're going to take a look at some snowfall ratios here. This is not a typical spring-like snow or a early season winter-like snow that's really super wet and heavy. It was today in Montana, but now that the temperatures are falling in the 20s as we go through Thursday morning, so Wednesday, tonight through Wednesday will bring most of the snow here, and this is a look at Thursday morning snowfall potential. North central North Dakota looks to be the big winner. I do anticipate a few spots, not a huge area, but a few spots seeing close to 1 foot of snow in that area. Notice from Minot down in towards Lake Sakakawea, there is a big reservoir in North Dakota called Lake Sakakawea. The winds will be coming from the northwest. Once in a while, we get some enhancements called lake effect snow off of that big lake. I anticipate just on the downwind side of Lake Sakakawea, we'll have some narrow bands of over a foot of snow. That's places like possibly Cole Harbor, possibly the area near Washburn there on that Highway 83 corridor. So keep that in mind as you're traveling north and south with a west wind. There'll be drifting and blowing of snow and reduced visibilities. Look at this in the Red River Valley here. This is basically a big old Great Lake Basin called Lake Agassiz, and where we start seeing the rise in terrain out here out towards, say, Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, we'll see an enhancement of snowfall potential out there. Many areas will see 2 to 6 inches of snow here up and down the Red River Valley. However, isolated places will get upwards of 7 inches of snow with the ridiculous wind. This is all by Thursday morning. Travel impacts to both air potentially, as well as ground travel across the region. And in fact, as we take a peek, we'll switch gears and we'll come back to this and switch our gears to the area in and around the Great Lakes. Let's look at the road report from North Dakota. Let's go to North Dakota. Here we go. So North Dakota road report. The red areas that you see way in the upper left-hand corner, no travel advised. We have that's not far from where the blizzard warning is in parts of northeast Montana. The winds are ridiculous. We'll click on one of these cameras and see if we can find a view for you here. This is a look at Columbus. I think I had an awesome one here near Ray. Let me check that out. Here it is up at the top. Let me see. Okay, so let's go into the Williston area here. We'll pop a look at that. The winds are starting to pick up in some of these areas, and the snow, though, the snowfall is starting to reduce just a pinch in some of these areas. So not as much snowfall. Most of the snow has fallen. Now the wind is really picking up as the snow band is shifting off to the east. Let's get up here toward northern parts of here you go, Minot. So as we look in the Minot region here, I'm just kind of clicking around and looking at cameras. Here's West Hope, north near the international border, horizontal flakes of snow flying there. And this area, you can barely see the lights in the distance there of the, event. So any travel along that Highway 2 corridor and points north tonight look to be pretty pretty crummy at best. Now, as we look right into Minot and just north of town here, we are seeing some icy conditions on the cameras there. The wind is picking up, the snow is continuing, and there's a measurement in the Minot area here of 4 inches of snow. So we definitely have some snowy roads taking place across North Dakota. By the way, all of these counties in purple are showing that we do have a travel alert in those counties. Now, you get into areas near Interstate 94, the east-west route through North Dakota. Let's look at Dickinson. We do see some snow there that's starting to accumulate on the road surface for sure. And the visibility, not too awful bad because the snowfall now is slowing down in some of these areas. Some of the heavier snow setting up now just off to the north. Let's go up near Botno. Let's go up here. Let's see. That's West Hope. We just looked at them. One more. Here's the, well, let's go US 83, and that's Max. Okay. I'm reasonably happy with what I'm seeing here. So that is a look at some of the roads in North Dakota. Tricky travel conditions. And remember, with the wind overnight and the snow picking up as it wraps back around the backside of that low, I anticipate some terrible overnight conditions, and some of the greatest impacts to travel will be first thing in the morning. By the way, if you happen to be in Manitoba right now, Hutch covers Manitoba too. Check this out. Manitoba road conditions look like this. Hey, thanks, Winnie, for the look there. South St. Paul, Minnesota, I got you covered. Give me one moment. South St. Paul is getting rain right now. There was some significant rain in and around the Twin Cities. The snowfall potential is very low for that area, although it's not going to be zero as temperatures drop tomorrow. We could have some slick spots on area roads. Back to Winnipeg, where you see the black roads here, those areas are basically free from snow at this particular time, but it has been snowing in western and southern Manitoba, where you see the yellow lines there. Partially covered roads are being shown there. So that's a look at Manitoba in Canada. And again, now Montana. Now there was the blizzard warning issued. This is a look at Montana roads out there, and things there are definitely a little bit slippery. This is the Sioux Pass in northeast Montana. Let's get a more recent picture now as things turn dark. So we're looking at in the the eastern reaches of Montana, the pink roads that you see here near Sidney, Montana. Look at the temperatures. They're in the 20s, low 20s. And there's looks like a red or a closed or severely damaged road out here from the snow, I should say. This is a look then at the Comertown turnoff, and definitely there is some significant snow that has taken place there. There were wind gusts there clocked at 55 miles per hour, maybe even greater. This is a look at Navajo Pass, and again, you cannot see, and the snow is going to be blowing and drifting around that area as we go through the overnight hours. So that's a look at that. Now let's go ahead and turn our attention to this system as it works its way on Thursday through the Great Lakes. If you're with me, here we go. Drop a question and I'll get to your question there. Winnie will be able to see that as well. You're welcome, Kimberly, for the updates. Thank you very much. Let's check this out. Okay, let's go back to a forecast model here. And as you look at this, you're going to see my chair is right in the way of the Twin Cities. So I'm going to shift this look and view over to something that is in the Great Lakes. So we'll just shift this over a piece and let's look over here. Okay, so now you can see Minneapolis. Now you can see other areas in and around the Great Lakes as this storm system leaves North Dakota and works its way into Minnesota. So let's go through the 22-hour forecast here. This will be a little bit shorter, but notice that in and around the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, your best chance of snow will not hit until we get closer to the mid-morning hours on your Wednesday. It'll be lighter snow. It will be cold and there will be some slippery spots to boot. And I'm not expecting more than maybe an inch or two of snow for your folks there in the South St. Paul area. You're welcome, Winnie. Thank you. Now I'm going to need to reach into my bag of tricks here, and I'm going to pull out a model that goes out a little bit farther so we can see the Great Lakes storm system. This model sometimes overblows the snow in our area just a little bit too much, but let's get the timing of it down, shall we? Here it is moving through Minneapolis, St. Paul with some snow bands, couple of inches there, and then it moves into northern Iowa. So if you are in Rochester, right into Des Moines, Iowa, that cold air punch will start to arrive as we go through the midday hour on your lunch break. So if you're taking the picnic basket out in Des Moines to the old park there, you may want to bring the parka with you. Wind and snow will work its way in. By the way, wind speeds in southern parts of Minnesota and Iowa will not compare to the 40 or 50 mile per hour gusts that North Dakota will be receiving. Now, here's the low pressure system starting to take shape out in parts of Michigan with a lot of rain, beneficial rain making its way through there. Then this system will start to swirl just a little bit, as you see, and I'll change my chair over so you can see that as we go into the day, this is Thursday morning, things really start to unwind just a little bit for you folks out on the east. I'm just going to dip out here of the camera. Let me duck out. 1, 2, 3, duck. There I did. Okay, I played duck, duck, goose. All right, here we go. So as we go into Thursday morning, look at the areas in and around Green Bay and Milwaukee, bands of moderate to heavy snow. And here come the winds as this low pressure system strengthens. What that's going to do is cause us some narrow bands of very heavy snow downwind from Lake Michigan. The fetch, or how long the air is over the lake, is not overly impressive, but I would anticipate Western Michigan seeing a couple of bands that are quite good or enhanced. And check this out. Look at what's going on here as we see into the southern reaches. Let me go ahead and scoot this north. Southern reaches of Wisconsin, not far from Madison, not far from Chicago. Heavy snow and wind possible for Chicago here as this system winds its way through and pushes all the way through Indiana. So from Fort Wayne all the way south through Indianapolis and right through the western reaches of Ohio, as well as pushing into northern Kentucky. How much snow is this puppy looking like it could create here? Let's look at the shovel trouble report. Now, this is just one model's guidance, so I do want to have you take a closer look at your local National Weather Service office, who's going to have a better grasp on some of the local terrain features. But what Hutch can tell you is in and around the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul, an inch or two, it looks like at most, is what we're expecting from this model. But look at the enhanced snowfall totals downwind. Now this says 2 to 4, 5 inches, maybe up to 6 inches of snow. But when we get into the mitten of Michigan up here, we could see some loftier snowfall totals there, according to this model, that could exceed 6 inches. So with the wind and with the snow falling concurrently with the wind, I anticipate some of the nastiest conditions right here as we go through Thursday, your afternoon drive and evening drive through Fort Wayne, Indiana, Chicago, Illinois, and parts of northern and eastern Illinois, getting some pretty tricky travel conditions there. Now, as we look down just a little bit farther to the south, you're going to notice that in western parts of Ohio, we have 2 to 5 inches of snow potential from the system there. Okay, so without further ado, let's take this map and let's sneak ourselves right into the Pacific Northwest, because we showed that there'd be some impacts there. And to cover that particular area, we'll go ahead and sneak the map over to the Pacific Northwest. Now, the system's working its way on. See these enhancements of snow and the peaks of central Washington state and Oregon, and then as it moves into the northern Rockies and the northern reaches of the Bitterroots of Montana, northern Idaho, we have some lofty snowfall totals here. So this is mainly going to be an event that brings snow to the high country. We'll check out your rain or total moisture content from this system. But look at some of these snowfall totals. Northern California, not far from Eureka. This model saying 100 inches of snow. 100 inches of snow. That's happened a couple of times up there, not far from, say, Reno over the past couple of winters. I'm not going to poo-poo that, but I will say that there'll be a chance for several feet of snow across some of the mountains of Northern California. We'll go in and take a closer look at that here momentarily. Now, as we take a look at some of the other snowfall areas in the mountains of central and southern Oregon state, a few feet of snow will be possible here too. I would say 3 feet of snow at some of the peaks not going to be out of the question, with some even loftier totals here and there where the enhancements of terrain will be there. This is a very wet system making its way off the Pacific Northwest. As we look at Olympia out here, we're going to see some spots that get their 1 to 2 feet of snow there as well. And then how about northern Idaho? A foot or more of snow possible there. And in the mountains of Montana, the western part of Montana, we could see 3 to 6 inches of snow, with a few of the peaks getting even higher amounts than that. And you get into the dome and the bowl north of Boise, we're going to see some areas there getting a foot or two of snow as well. So, wintry weather. Now, I did tell you we would take a look at the precip chances here, and this is a look at the total amount of moisture, whether you get snow or rain, that's expected in the Pacific Northwest. And just look at the coastal California area. Unbelievable rainfall amounts between 6 and 10 inches of moisture working its way in there. I'm going to see if I can move this map over for you just a piece here so you can see western parts of California. You see that? Where we got these golden colors, that's not dry weather, that's extreme rainfall. 1 foot of rain will be possible in some parts of the elevated terrain of California. That could cause some mudslide concerns. That could cause some flooding concerns in the elevated terrain. Absolutely. And because this is a moisture-rich storm system, I anticipate that we could have some concerns as well with the lofty snowfall totals that we were seeing there and in southwestern parts of Oregon. Unbelievable amounts of moisture there. So, that is a look there. Do we have British Columbia folks on board? It doesn't look like it. So that is a look at the storm system as we go through the next 24 to 48 hours. I'll take you over to the East Coast because a little bit later in the week, this storm system will work its way out of the Ohio River Valley and into parts of the Appalachia. So as we go through the 60 hours, we'll look at the moisture with this system working into the New England states. So New York, we could be talking about some significant rain potential as we go into Thursday. This is Thursday. With the wintry weather in western and upstate New York, it looks wet for parts of New York City, Jersey. How about eastern Pennsylvania with 1 to 2 inches of rainfall, highly possible in many of these areas. Now, when we look at the snowfall potential with the system, just so you can see on the East Coast that we will have that potential there as well. Taking a look at this, again, as this system spills its moisture, through the Ohio River Valley, the best chance of snow will be away from Long Island, northern and central parts of New York State, northern PA, and some of these places could certainly see 3 to 6 inches of snow, according to the guidance that we're seeing here. So, once again, I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. You can get the latest on hutchesweather.com. That is an area where you can upload your photos. Right there on the website, you can see the interactive radar as well, hutchesweather.com anytime, no matter when you're there. And again, thanks a lot for your participation. Seeing if we have any other questions. Nope, thank you very much. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Again, blizzard warning for one county in Montana. This storm system is rolling into North Dakota tonight, and it will impact the Red River Valley, or the more populated side of North Dakota, as we head through the day with bands of snow in the Devil's Lake Basin that could reach a foot of snow for some. And we'll have lofty snowfall totals close to 6 inches for some in the Red River Valley, but many of us battling, let's say, 3 to 6 inches of snow here in the Red River Valley. All right, that's a look at your weather. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Love it if you hit the like button. And if you're so inclined on the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. Both of those things help me out a great deal. Until next time, stay tuned to me here on Hutch's Weather. Check out my webpage, upload your measurements of snow, photos of snow, and non-sensory weather. Oh my goodness, what a wild ride we're on. Have a great night.